People keep telling me like I'm trying to say that I want somebody to follow me like they follow Jesus, right? But what I'm trying to get people to understand is how you following Jesus by following your religious teacher. So you following somebody, but you saying you following Jesus. But you mad with me because I'm following the law, the Florida Constitution, the United States Constitution, the Florida Bill of Rights, the United States Bill of Rights, the United States Declaration of Independence, statutory law, and the Civil Rights Act of 1964, you now saying that I'm crazy, but you following somebody who following somebody else who followed somebody. But you judging me based off of what? Now, I'm going to go get what you say you believe. I'm going to go get Matthew, Malachi, then I'm going to get, then I'm going to talk about Dr. Martin Luther King, right? Well, you know what? I'm just going to talk about Dr. Martin Luther King, and then if I can get them other people in. But this is what Dr. Martin Luther King said. On April 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wrote, my dear fellow clergymen, while confined here in the Birmingham City Jail, I came across your recent statement calling my present activity unwise and untimely. Seldom do I pause to answer criticism of my work and ideas. If I sought to answer all of the criticism that crossed my desk, my secretaries would have little time for anything other than such correspondence in the course of the day, and I would have no time for constructive work. But since I feel that you are men of genuine goodwill and that your criticism are sincerely set forth, I want to try to answer your statement in what I hope will be patient and reasonable terms. But more basically, I am in Birmingham because injustice is here. Just as the prophets of the 8th century BC left their villages and carried their, thus saith the Lord, far beyond the boundaries of their hometowns. And just as the Apostle Paul left his village of Taurus and carried the gospel of Jesus Christ to the four corners of the Greco-Roman world, so am I compelled to carry the gospel of freedom beyond my own hometown. Like Paul, I must constantly respond to the Macedonian call for aid. Macedonian, right? Like that's amazing to me because I went into the Macedonian Missionary Baptist Church in Edenville, Florida. See, but they didn't answer the call for aid. Pastor Willie C. Bond left me. You know what I'm saying? Just like the clergyman was talking to Pastor Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. So see, why is the church leaders always against progress? From Jesus to Gandhi to Minister Malcolm X to Dr. Martin Luther King. These are all religious men. I am not a religious man, but I am facing the same religious persecution that a religious man faced. Look, and then he says, moreover, I am cognizant, for which is defined as knowledgeable of something, especially through personal experience, of the inner relatedness, for which is defined as having a mutual, for which is defined as directed by each towards the other, or the other of reciprocal, for which is defined as of constituting, or resulting from pair crosses, in which the kind that supplies the male parent of the first cross supplies the female parent of the second cross, and vice versa in relation to history. Okay, all right, turning the page here. Okay, in all communities, in all states, I can't sit idly by in Atlanta and not be concerned about what's happening in Birmingham. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught up in an inescapable network of mutuality, for which is defined as the equal or state of being mutual, for which is defined as having the same feelings one for the other, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Never again can we afford to live with narrow provincial, hold on, man. Like when history, like you read history, and I guess, I remember when my grandmama, and see, this is what I'm saying, is like, when I'm trying to think and all of these emotions flood, because I'm seeing the same problem Dr. Martin Luther King I got. And you reading his mind and you seeing his problem and you seeing his problem, your problem. And then you trying to be so perfect, but you crying like, man, like, this lady said when she was reading my motion, she said, why you got all these periods and commas? And I'm saying, man, lady, like, y'all think I don't miss my wife, my grandmother. Like, what did I do for you to sit here for 15 years and think that I'm trying to do something other than get back to my family? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm sitting here, man, trying to testify, and then I got hecklers, man, who not even telling me about who they are or what they believe. They telling me about what they believe in a book. That's like, how about if that's a comic book or anything? Like, how do you know, like, our ancestors were denied the right to read and write, but now I'm reading Dr. Martin Luther King's letter from a Birmingham jail written to clergymen, and I went to Pastor Willis C. Barnes, and now I got a bunch of preachers, messing with me, and I got to try to learn about my persecution from generation to generation, and I'm trying to make the same case that they made, and I'm dealing with the same foolishness that they dealt with, like these people telling us we all right, but they all right. See, we not all right. That's what they were saying with Jesus. We all right, we Abraham seeds. Well, who was Jesus? You see what I'm saying? Like, do y'all ever think if Abraham seeds was telling Jesus who their father was, and Jesus was telling them about who his father is, how was they having the same father? Right? Now here it is, Reverend Jesse Jackson was with Dr. Martin Luther King, so wouldn't that be like John or Matthew who was with Jesus? So why Reverend Jesse Jackson not helping Tommy Chancey Castle Sr., who coming out of the dream that he saw Dr. Martin Luther King probably wrote. He probably heard the rough draft of the speech. You see what I'm saying? But here I am coming out of that speech, man, with the laws that this man had penned. And now I'm here by myself, and I got to argue with black folk, man. And then if I can't, pronounce something like you pronounce it, you know what I mean? Like, now I'm dumb and I'm stupid, but you don't even know you can't even, if you walked a mile in my shoes, you probably wouldn't be able to speak. You probably wouldn't, because you'd be so scared, you probably lose your nerve. But I'm still here trying to get it together. But okay, I think it's Provincial. It's Provincial. Provincial. That's what I think it said. But it's Provincial, for which is defined as a person of local or restricted interest or outlook. And then he said outside agitator, ideal. Anyone who lives inside the United States can never be considered an outsider anywhere within its bounds. So that's what I'm saying to y'all, right? Like, when I saw the state of Florida's gross injustice against the Florida Constitution, then why would I think that it's just me? And why should I then negotiate with terrorists, right? So if you have a domestic terrorist and the domestic terrorist is the judge, but then America says that it does not negotiate with terrorists, then why are people terrorizing me when I'm showing them the judges that's the domestic terrorist, that's undermining democracy? And this is what he's saying. You deplore, for which is defined as to feel or express grief for the demonstrations taking place in Birmingham. But your statement, I am sorry to say, fails to express a similar concern for the conditions that brought about the demonstrations. I am sure that none of you would want to rest content with the superficial, for which is defined as presenting only an appearance without substance or significance kind of social analysis, for which is defined as a detailed examination of anything complex in order to understand its nature or to determine its essential features, that deals merely with effects and not grapple with the underlying causes. It is unfortunate that demonstrations are taking place in Birmingham, but it is even more unfortunate that the city's white power structure left the Negro community with no alternative. In any nonviolent campaign, there are 4 basic steps: collection of facts to determine whether injustice exists, negotiation, self-purification, for which is defined as the act or an instance of purifying, for which is defined as to clear from material defilement or imperfections, and direct action. We have gone through all these steps in Birmingham. There can be no gainsaying that fact that racial injustice engulfs this community. Birmingham is probably the most thoroughly segregated city in the United States. Its ugly record of brutality is widely known. Negroes have experienced grossly unjust treatment in the courts, just like I, for whom name is Tommy Chancey Castle Sr., president of Folk Houses Incorporated, experienced that same gross injustice in the civil and criminal courthouses in Seminole and Orange counties in the state of Florida on August 12, 2008 at 10:40 in the morning, as well as in the federal courthouse in the Middle District of Florida on February 20th in 2018 at 9:20 in the morning. There have been more unsolved bombings of Negro homes and churches in Birmingham than in any city in the nation. These are the hard, brutal facts of the case. Now see, this man here, Dr. Martin Luther King, for whom birthday y'all celebrated yesterday, right? But whom birthday was January 15th. He was in a Birmingham jail just like I'm in exile right now in the state of Florida, saying the same thing 1 generation ago that I'm saying right now in the state of Florida. So how this is not a systemic problem of the United States of America that it just can't do right by a black man. But it's not the black man and it's not America, it's the clergyman. See, I went to Pastor Willie C. Barnes and these people talking against Dr. Martin Luther King, but yesterday they celebrated his birthday, but now are they telling you about his letter from a Birmingham jail against the clergyman, just like Jesus, the Bible is telling you about how the clergymen of his time, the high priest Caiaphas, the Pharisees, the chief priests, the high priest, the scribes, and the elders was against him? So see the similarities. So when can the poor man truth become wealthy enough to set the poor man free from the illusion of religion?